So, you know what? Love him or hate him, and if I'm honest, I'm a little bit of both, depending on the context. This week's fail of the week is the world's richest man, Mr. Elon Musk.
He has certainly got some culture challenges happening right now at one of his companies. Maybe I would. I was going to say maybe he has it at Tesla, but there's nobody at Tesla. It's all it's all robots. But definitely, he's got some challenges right now at Twitter in culture.
Right. I mean, what do you think's going on? I mean, this is fascinating from so many levels about the deal, the acquisition. Was he effectively, he got himself into a bind and he couldn't bail out of it? But
I think so. I think he was the dog that caught the bumper.
right. And here's where it's interesting, Topher, because obviously we're time stamping this episode, right?
Yeah.
And so we might say something now, and in
It
6
could be
months,
totally false by the time
if,
it airs.
If you think about Elon, because we've got to be careful, because we're saying it's a fail of the week, so we're marking it out as like a bad thing.
Yeah.
And in a year or two's time, we could go, we were dead wrong about that.
I think he is genius enough. That's probably more likely than not. But it doesn't change the fact that there's a lot of turmoil happening right now.
Yeah, well, yeah. I was going to say, because you're betting against a man that has taken on multiple industries. But like, I'm pretty sure it's true to say he's the only person that's created 3 multi-billion-dollar valuation companies. Oh, sorry, 300 billion valuation companies from scratch.
I think you might be correct.
And you're like, in industries that are like, who wants to go into automotive? Unbelievable. And yet we're going, okay, but has he screwed up with Twitter? I'm gonna make a stance and say he has.
Okay.
And here's my evidence to support that.
Okay, good, because I'm going to make my statement after you're done, and I'll see if it's the same.
So here's the shoehorning. So when I was chatting to Warren Buffett the other day, by chatting, I mean reading his material.
Yes.
But having a conversation in my mind.
Yeah.
One of the things I love about that guy is he says all the time when he's screwed up. Like, so the number of times in his letters to shareholders when he goes, hey, 3 years ago, I told you this company was bumper and it was going to do this and it was going to do that. And I was dead wrong.
Yeah.
I screwed up. So even the most successful investor of all time, and there's all these successes and evidence, there's plenty of times when he's screwed up big that's cost him a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's my evidence to go, you know what? Elon Musk has, a bit like Jeff Bezos, has achieved unimaginable success and greatness and achieved things that nobody on the planet has done, right? But that doesn't mean you've got a 100% record. And I think on this one, I think he's going to look back on this in a few years and go, it's done. It wouldn't surprise me if Twitter doesn't even exist.
Interesting that far. So your logic then is that he's due for a failure. Is that your logic, or is there something else behind it?
Yeah, I'll append it slightly. Like a step too far. It feels like he not just he's due by the law of averages, but more like he's got his main things, are still his main things, and then almost as a side habit, it kind of got out of control, and then all of a sudden, I don't see this master plan. Like people are talking about how he's got this big vision for Twitter as well.
Yeah.
And for me, I kind of go, no, it smells more like he's had a whimsical idea as an afterthought, and he caught the dog that caught the bumper, and it's like, oh, okay, is he going to pivot and take his focus off these in order to do this? I don't think he is.
Yeah. And the other thing is his grand vision isn't that grand. It's just a copycat of WeChat.
Right.
So here's my theory on this one, and I hate to say that because I absolutely admire this guy and I think he's a genius. But here's why I think this could be his. I don't necessarily think it's going to be his downfall, right? Yeah, but it could be. And here's why.
Zuckerberg's, I think.
Yeah.
On a bit of a downfall right now.
Right. Yeah. Here's why I think this is going to be a fail for him. If you look at where his wheel of genius is at, it's all in systems. It's in logic. It's all in the mechanics and the science of things, right? It's not in the human side of things. Show me a company that he's developed which has something to do with heart and people. And this is the other thing, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe, and this is something that he has admitted publicly, is that he is on the spectrum.
Okay.
Yes. He's got Asperger's.
Yes.
Right? He's on light Asperger's syndrome. So I think, what are the ramifications of somebody who has a medical condition in their inability to communicate effectively, being in charge of a communications company.
That's really interesting. Yeah, definitely. It's beyond my remit to comment on the Asperger's or anything like that. But I was going to make the comment is, have you noticed a lot of the really big guys, and by big, I mean by companies by capitalization, resonate with that. So I don't know. I can't even speak to whether it's diagnosed or not, but there's definitely opinions about whether it is with Bill Gates, with Zuckerberg, like more where you're going to go, yeah, they've got this tendency which gives them certain positive consequences, right? But also there is negatives. Like it's a double-sided coin, right?
By the way, one of the most intriguing TED Talks I've ever watched was about Asperger's. I hope I'm saying it, Asperger's syndrome and autism on the spectrum. And if you Google this, you'll be able to pull it up. Where there's this, he's an anthropologist, and he is showing some anthropological evidence that people who are, because if you look at the amount of people that are being diagnosed with Asperger's and autism is through the roof right now, especially in America, right? It's way higher than it's ever been. And he talks about evolutions while they have these slow rates of change, but there gets to a point where all of a sudden there's a leap. Yep. And his theory is that people with Asperger's and autism may actually be the next evolution of Homo sapiens.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right, because they are a hyper-focused genius in one area, and they're having a hard time communicating. Yeah, it's really an incredible TED Talk.
I love that. Yeah. I'm gonna check that out. Yeah, we'll put that link in the show notes because I'm gonna check that out. And I wish you hadn't said that hyper-focused genius bit, because I was about to, because that kind of makes me sound extremely arrogant with the next comment, which was, my partner, so you know her, she's autistic, so she's been diagnosed. So
is she?
Yeah, so she's on the autistic spectrum, as are several of her siblings, and so her mother, being a single parent for raising a lot of kids, she's one of 7. Is a speaker, professional speaker, like in the area and an expert in that area, and has also got a TED Talk on the topic, but not anthropologically. Yeah, too much coffee related. But anyway, I digress. Oh my word. And cut.
Yeah, but funny that we're sitting here talking about communication, and neither one of us can get the message out right now.
They've said to me, multiple members of that family who are on the spectrum have said, "Oh yeah, like you'd be on the spectrum, like if you went and got tested." And I'm like, "Why?" And then they give me this evidence for this hyper focus thing, right? And also my anal Rain Man thing with numbers, right? Like, they're like, you don't like talking to people, and you can't remember what we did last night. My partner will say to me, but she's like, you can remember a client's balance sheet from 3.5 years ago. And I'm like, yeah,
that's a good point.
And then she'll say that, and then I'll deliberately like say how much cash a certain client had in the bank, and then I'll go and look up the balance sheet if it's and see if it's correct. And you know what? It normally is.
Wow. Anyway. Let's move on. Let's talk about so we've made our predictions about Elon. We'll see how wrong we are in the future.
I know. I'm already squirming. We've just basically said the wealthiest man on the planet, self-made entrepreneur. We've just said, yeah, he's wrong and he's going to fail.
Yeah.
I feel like
I want to rewind this so bad, right? But no, we're committed.
There should be tumbleweed. We should have just left that pause and put tumbleweed as a backdrop.